you everyone for joining us here today. I'm very happy to bring you our first online event with such a great lineup of speakers with so much value to add on how we can be positive and achieve growth in these times. I do not want to make light of the pandemic in any way. My personal opinion, we should all be doing all we can to prevent the spread, to protect others. I do also strongly believe that it's an important time to stay positive. In any crisis, people show who they really are. And I think this is an important time to stick to your plan on what you want to do in business and in what you want to do in life. I think true leaders emerge, or at least show up and stand up in crisis, like those we have with us today, taking time out of their busy schedules to bring value to you. True leaders take these opportunities to inspire others. Our organization's motto has always been to help people to connect, share, grow. So today, we want to bring you this event online for free to spread the value as far and wide as we can. Today, we are lucky to have with us real experts in their fields. Greg Story, president of the world-renowned Dale Carnegie, will be speaking to us on how people can be using this work-at-home time to do training they could during that time they used to commute, along with how organizations, what they're doing to communicate that's different in these times, and a lot more. Those are only two of the points. Shinya Yamanaka, previous partner of Pricewaterhouse and CEO of HR Fabula, will be speaking to us on how during this time, people can be seeing more how they individually contribute and a potential chance to change to more performance-based appraisals in Japanese companies, and also how communication can change inside the company and how we can all be a catalyst for that change. Christian Boettcher, partner of Deloitte Consulting, will be speaking to us about areas where there's growth in the market. And I asked him if he's willing to share actual real life opportunities. And he did say he would share those with us today. So lots of opportunity here today to hear about positive growth that I think is really important now. Great information and chance to grow ourselves, help our colleagues, our organizations to grow, understanding growth in the market, and some actual live opportunities out there now. After each speaker, I will share with you a poll, and they're going to be really short, 1 or 2 questions. I'll launch one right now, only take a couple seconds. This one's exceedingly easy. So we're just going to do 1 or 2 questions. If you can please fill those out. I'll try to just have them up for a couple seconds, and then I'll take them down. We will compile all the information and share that with you via email. We'll also post it on LinkedIn. While you're doing that, I want to share something that is from John C. Maxwell. He just did a great speech online. I can share more, that link with you later. We actually have a lot of added value we're going to be sharing you at the end of this. So please stay tuned till the end, and we'll get you to a URL with all kinds of added value from free coaching that people are giving away for people from this event, health and wellness training, another event from Jason Bull, great online and face-to-face networking events he's held for a long time in Japan. But please do stay tuned at the end. Anyway, for the things that the New York Times best-selling author John C. Maxwell mentioned was, all good coaches have a great game plan, but the great coaches separate themselves at halftime after seeing what's actually going on in reality. Not your plan, not your theory, but what's really happening. They take a look at that and they find a way to win. By looking at what's really happening, that makes a difference. And we can do the same thing in a crisis. I thought that's very poignant for what you can do with the info we're sharing today. I would like to start by introducing our first speaker, Greg Story, president of the world-renowned Dale Carnegie, for leadership, sales presentation, training courses, and more. They're world-renowned as just the best there is. Dr. Greg Story is also best-selling business author, has been country head of 3 multinational organizations here in Japan, has a 6th Dan black belt in Shitoryu Karate, and holds a BA in Modern Asian Studies, a master's, and a PhD in Japan Studies. Very happy to have him here today to share some of his expertise. Without further ado, Dr. Greg Story.
Damon, thank you very much. And Yamamoto-san and Christian are going to do all the heavy lifting today. I'm going to talk about some practical ideas to help us. And I'm thinking particularly about coexistence with COVID-19, because this isn't going away. This is not going to disappear. We are going to be in a world that's flicking between online and, in office, or in our case, as a training company, in classroom, probably forever. So what are some things we've got to think about, how we can bridge that? And I love that quote from John Maxwell. There's another quote I like, a little bit more concise, from Mike Tyson. Everyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. And we've all been punched in the mouth by COVID-19. And it's really upset the apple cart for all of us on our plans and what we had in mind. So how do we think about going forward? And that's the sort of thing I want to touch on today. So a couple of things. When we're thinking about, we're going to be working a lot more at home than in the office perhaps, or be a split between the two, or some groups will go to the office and some will stay at home or rotate. It's going to be a much more confused working environment than we've seen in the past. One thing though is very important: show up every day with your brain 100% ready to go. That means get into your battle dress. I've got my battle dress on now, ready to fight in the market. And we've got to be like that. We've got to be ready to go 100% from the morning we start. We can't be sort of thinking I'm on half holiday, I'm on half work. No, we've got to be really concentrated to go. And a good thing is start every morning with a huddle for everybody. Get everybody together, go through the day. In our case, Dale Carnegie, we go through our vision, mission, values. We go through who we're visiting, who's visiting us, could be online. What are our top 3 priorities? What's the Dale Carnegie principle of the day? We have a set piece, which we had in the office. We just transferred that to the online environment. But we kept that continuity, and we keep that focus on what we're about. What's our why? What is our why? Why are we doing this? And so that becomes very important. Also important to turn the cameras on to make sure everybody's on deck. Now, a lot of people living by themselves or in isolation, they're single, or they don't have anyone taking care of. If they get sick, they're on their own. You don't know. So it's good to know everyone is okay every day. And if someone doesn't come online, depending on the size of your work group, good to check in. Are you okay? Are your health is okay? Everything all right? Just to make sure. That's a very, very important thing to think about. Also, in the office, we would have a lot of informal time, chit chat, over the, at the water cooler, having a coffee together, talking about things. When we're isolated, those sorts of things disappear. But that's a very important glue in the human connection. And Japan is very much a group-oriented culture. We know that. It's very, very high context. So we need to recreate that glue. Every day, 3 o'clock, we have our coffee time with Dale. And you can come on at 3 o'clock. There's a WebEx site there you can go to and just chit chat with other people. It doesn't be about work, it can be about anything, to create that human activity. Because once we're separated, and in some people might be in the office, some people at home, you're still going to be separated. We need to have that glue. So we've got to create these opportunities to make people feel, okay, I'm connected. I'm not on my own. Another thing is that I'm doing this now. If I had my laptop on the table in front of me, you would be getting a view like that probably. And I go to a lot of webinars and I get a great shot of the inner nasal passage of a lot of strangers. It's like too much information. So prop your camera up as a professional, get it to eye height. Now I'm actually using a virtual background just to make it a little bit cleaner than my office here at home. It's not perfect, virtual background is not perfect, but it's a little bit cleaner. And I've got it at a high height so that I'm looking at the camera. I'm not talking to the screen. These are simple things, but as professionals in business, these are the sorts of simple things we've got to at least get those right. Also, I'm not sitting back in my chair. I'm not leaning back on my couch. I'm not leaning back in my chair like this. I'm sitting forward. I'm sitting upright. I'm showing a posture of credibility, trust, reliability to my audience. And we've got to do that online, be it internal or be it the client or be it an industry. Andrew's on the call today. He was on a call earlier today with the ACCJ, where they're talking about moderating on webinars. So he's got to present a very professional image of himself and his organization in that seminar. We are the same, internal, external, it doesn't matter. And also we've got now a tremendous opportunity. There are 12.5 hours at least a week for most people, which we'd use in commuting and lunchtime to use for personal development. If you're doing, 2 hours a day, basically, and then you've got, some people got a bit longer, a bit shorter, but lunchtime, you don't really need an hour for lunch anymore, you're at home. You can use that time very effectively for self-development. Read about things in your industry, read about things in your market, read about things in your profession, and use that time rather than sleeping in to study. This is one of the great times where you can research your market, your industry, where you're normally too busy to do that. So when you come back to a more normalized, whatever that's going to look like, world, you are more adept, you are more educated, you are more perceptive, you have more insight about your business than you had before COVID-19. And don't just rely on yourself. If everybody in your work group are doing personal development, reading, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, TED Talks, whatever, share the information. Take 15 minutes a day by rotation. Like it's me today, I'll talk about what I've learned. Tomorrow is Damon. The day after that is Christian. The day after that is Yamamoto-san. And we share, we crystallize the essence of what we've learned. That will give us a tremendous ability to share a lot of information that we're all gathering. Could be on industry, could be on market, could be on leadership, could be on sales, could be on presentation skills, could be on any number of subjects. This is a tremendous opportunity to use the joint power, the group sourcing of information, group sourcing of insight that is available to us while we've got this no commuting time. And you don't need an hour for lunch, what do they say in Wall Street? Lunch is for wimps. Well, I'm a bit of a wimp. I like to have lunch, but I don't need an hour because I'm not going outside. I'm at home. Now, also, we've got the capacity. We can go. We're on Zoom. We could go to a whiteboard right now, and we could be using text and typing in ideas, and we could be brainstorming right now where we are on ideas about how to coexist with the virus in our businesses. So the technology provides you with the capacity to do brainstorming, and we should be doing that. We might be doing it internally. We might be doing it with clients. How can we think about the industry going forward? What can we do? These are things, technology makes it available. And one thing though, don't let the tech hijack your presentation. Now, I don't have a slide deck here, so I'm on full screen for you. But I did a speech to the British Chamber a couple of days ago, and it's a slide deck, and I'm a tiny square on the real estate of that screen. And the slide deck is hijacking the whole thing. And that's something you've got to be careful about. As people try and have influence, we've got to make sure that we are the centerpiece, that we have got the voice modulation, the energy. We're trying to make the presence on the deck rather than the slide deck making it. So we've got to be careful about that we don't want to have the slide deck take over from us. Make sure we are in command of the material. We're in command of the audience, not the technology. Also, as we know, breakout rooms are great for getting together, sharing information. Just like we're a training company, we would say, okay, Damon, Christian, Yamamoto-san, you're a 3. Over here's a 3, over here's a 3. In your groups, please discuss something or other and come back and report. So we can do that. We can do that with breakout rooms. We can discuss concepts. We can discuss ideas. We can discuss the future. It is all doable with the technology we have today. So let's use it. And also, there's a lot of great training available online. We've been doing online training now for 10 years out of America. And so we were able very quickly to pivot from the experience of that 10 years they did in America to doing it in Japan online. We didn't have to do it online before. We're doing classroom, but we could do that very quickly. So the opportunity is there to have a way to make sure that your team is skilling up. Maybe a lot of Japanese companies very conservative, a bit worried about the virus, don't want to get back together again yet. But now they stopped doing they stopped doing classroom development in February. Now we're almost in June. They can't leave it go forever. You've got to have some capacity to bring people together and work together and get the training going. So there's a lot of good online training available. Please access that. And also, like Damon just used a poll. Polls are great. Polls are great for a couple of things. They're good for humor, make them a bit lighthearted, and also use them for self-awareness. Now, everyone's a critic. Everyone's a critic. You say something like, hey, I know that, I've got on top of that. Yeah, what are you talking about? You give people a poll where they have to plumb the depths of their own thinking about a subject. Boom. Up comes a self-awareness instantly. And that starts to get people into a concept of, well, actually, I don't know everything. Actually, I do need the brainstorming. Yeah, I do need to work with my colleagues. I do need to get training. That's a very important self-awareness example the polls bring you. And I encourage you to break the tech. The first time we went to 150 people, breakout rooms on WebEx, we broke WebEx. We broke it. But boy, that was very early in the piece. That was back very early in the piece in March. We learned a lot from breaking the tech. I encourage you, break the tech, push it as hard as you can, see what's possible. We know that 100 people can do breakout rooms on WebEx. We know that 100 people can do breakout rooms on Zoom. That's it. I don't know about any other technology that allows you to go beyond that. But as far as I know, there might be others. Find out, break the tech. Don't be constrained by the tech. Also, bring value to your clients. I talked about training. You can bring online training on product, on the market, on industry knowledge to your client. Do that. Get together with your clients and say, let's talk about product. Because now, a lot of product never gets covered. But there's some things that would be very valuable to clients to learn about the full range of your product or your insights on the industry. Remember, your A to Z, or A to Z, as Americans will say, across all industries, in a lot of cases, you're picking up insight, you're picking up ideas across a broad range. Clients tend to be in their very, very narrow corridor. But if you're in sales, you're across a broad corridor. You can bring insight, ideas, information to clients to help them. Please do that. Now, cost cutting, we're doing cost cutting, everyone's doing cost cutting. One of the things you might find is, okay, actually, you know what? There are some things we can live without, some things that are not actually needed. We were sort of doing it, but we didn't really need it. This might be an opportunity to look at your costs and see if there are things that actually were not adding value, which you just sort of kept them going because you were busy. Maybe this is the time to think about, well, do we really need this anymore? And finally, there are many, many talented people who, through no fault of their own, have been thrown into the market as mid-career hires. Look for those people. They got talent. Wasn't their fault, their company folded. You're looking for good people. They may be out there. You might have some people now which you think and say, you know what? Maybe these people would be better somewhere else. And we carried them for long enough. That sounds a bit harsh on a way to end, but this is a bit of a time for reality as we coexist. We do not eliminate. We coexist with COVID-19 forever. Thank you very much. And I look forward for you to keep well and stay safe. Back to you, Damon.
Thank you very much, Greg. I really like the point on talking in groups to our colleagues. Greg mentioned it to me earlier, and we tried it at our company, and it went over really well. People really enjoyed being able to see each other again. Love the ideas on how to use the text, and the self-awareness from polls was super interesting. And mid-career talent, I can say that's very, very true. From working in my industry, I've seen a lot of top-level people that are in the market right now for different reasons. Thank you very much, Greg. So Shinya, on to Shinya Yamamoto, currently the CEO of HR Fabula and previous partner of Pricewaterhouse, bringing real expertise in organizational development, leadership, action learning, HR consulting, global human resource management, and executive coaching, just to name a few. He brings 20 years plus of HR and business management experience to us today, having worked with Japan's top-tier organizations, also adjunct professor at Sophia University, and was a professor at my alma mater, Tsukuba MBA, truly bicultural as well, as a KO grad and an MBA from University of Illinois in the US. Very much looking forward to this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce Shinya Yamamoto.
Well, thank you very much, Diamond. Very kind introduction. I'm very honored and very happy to have this opportunity sharing my ideas and listening to other talented people, Greg and Christian. Thank you very much. First of all, I have to personally thank Greg for giving me a lot of those little hints. As you know, I've been teaching Sophia, as you said, and also I'm teaching Waseda, teaching college, 150 college students through Zoom. That's what I was doing yesterday. I'm having a lot of difficulties. Thank you very much, Greg. You gave me a lot of hints. Well, today, because I'm the organization and HR consultant, I will focus on probably two little C's of the change I see at the moment, working and talking to Japanese clients here. First of all, the first question Damon gave me was that how is it changing? How the COVID-19 will change Japanese organization? Well, being honest, first of all, I'm not sure how much it will change this Japanese old style management, communication style, HR practices, which, as you all know, we've been talking about, we have to change for how long? Decades. But I'm definitely, I'm 100% sure this is a very, very good chance for Japanese companies to change. And I think we have to change, use this opportunity, I think. As I talk to many managerial people at very traditional Japanese companies, usually, they're starting to understand or recognizing, well, of course they knew from the beginning, but who is really productive and who is performing and who's not. We never realized, but at this time, people working at home, it made easier for managers to see who's really performing, productive, and who's not. It is a very, very good chance for companies to change their traditional HR system. They've been talking about performance management or performance-based pay and such for probably 20, 30 years after bubble economy. But being there at the office, if someone's sitting there, as you know, lifetime employment, he's sitting there tomorrow and the day after anyway, you give them the work. But at home, it's really individuals who's actively performing is the performer. Others are just waiting, opening mouths, doesn't perform anything. And this is getting clear. So it is very, the current work from home situation is making much easier for the company to get consensus of employees to change their traditional HR. That's one thing I see it. So for those of you listening today, if you are a Japanese HR person, it's a very good chance for you to change your corporate culture more performance-based. Just think about it. Use of it. And if you have a managerial position, you can make an impact by appraising and rewarding, and showing the appraisal to the individuals who's really performing well, even outside of the office. So this is not just a beneficial for that guy, it is a good opportunity for other people to understand what the performance means. Well, it's very fundamental of HR, but this is something we needed and we couldn't have it at the office. And we haven't get the opportunity to chance this here at this time. Another good sign is the communication. It's kind of well, first I didn't understand at all. I mean, people getting away, working from home, but those traditional organization employees start telling me, we have better communication. We have more communication now. We understand each other better. First, I was confused. What's going on? But you know, even those traditional companies, they're asking managers to have one-on-one communication every day in order to, of course, engage, and of course, in order to check if they're doing okay. But at the office, as you know, some managers are really tough faces, never smile, telling you what to do. That's all they do every day. But now, at home, communication through the Zoom or the screen, and they're not, both are at home, wearing relaxed clothing, sometimes probably drinking beer and talking doing the one-on-one with subordinates. It's just normal. They start asking, how are you doing? Are you okay? How's your health? How's your family? How's your kids doing? They're at home, right? And that is, well, sad to say in a way, but that is a kind of a conversation they didn't have back at the office before. But they're having more personal, how to say, with empathy type of communications going on because of the online situation. And I am telling them and asking them, of course, strongly hoping they will take this kind of culture back to the office when they are really going back to the office after the current situation. So those are the really good signs I see, but telling the truth, it's not only optimistic situation. There are organizations very much struggling just to have communication. I know of some clients are having difficulty simply because of their infrastructure, technologies they have to prepare, especially those factory workers and such suburb of Tokyo. We have to understand something we hear a lot, something you see in the Marunouchi area is not only the typical case. There are a lot of struggles still going on, staying home and working. People who have nothing to do at home, cannot work at home. And so I'm trying to help, but there are still those struggles, and those companies may go back to the same situation even after Corona. But I still believe we all can change if we really want to add and act toward the way. At the end, being as a Japanese, I'm only Japanese today, I guess, and living in Japan, the first thing I think we must do or we have to have in our mind is that, like today, when we were asked, hey, do you think Corona will change your company? You know, I think so is not the right answer. The answer has to be, we will change. I will change. If many, it's kind of tough to ask for majority, but if more and more people start answering, I will change, we will change, I'm pretty sure the society will change. While I'm talking, I just remember, I had a very good chance of talking, not actually talking, listening to the famous positive psychology professor, Dr. Tal Ben Shahar, I believe many of you know, he's famous from the lecture at the university. He had a webinar talking to the Zoom 2 weeks ago, I think, to Japanese audience, and I was there. And I strongly remember what he said was that after 9/11, people in New York became more kind and friendly, but lasted only 6 months. Let's see how we can do it this time. That was his message. So we can all do our shares of create the change if we really do it. That's the message for tonight from me. Well, thank you very much. Back to you, Damon.
Thank you, Shinya. I really like the part you shared on communication. The better understanding from working at home is something I never would have imagined have happening. And then especially people becoming more personal and how important that was to our colleagues. Okay, so thank you very much, Shinya Yamamoto. Really great information that you shared today. I really appreciate you making time for us. Next up is Christian Boettcher, partner of Deloitte Consulting, 20 plus years of consulting and transaction experience across Japan, US, Europe, China, and across the Asia Pacific region. Author of numerous white papers and articles, and has appeared regularly in the Nikkan Kogyo Shimbun, has worked on planning management in life sciences and healthcare sectors in the areas of digital health, marketing, brand planning, management, sales, market access, product launch, health economics and outcomes research, strategy formulation, strategic M&A, post-merger integration, and business development improvement issues, and speaks 4 languages. A graduate of the Pepperdine University and an MBA from ESCP Europe. With no further ado, I'd like to introduce Christian Boettcher.
Thank you very much, Damon. I hope everybody can hear me. Greg and Shinya, tough act to follow. First of all, I apologize sitting here in a polo shirt. I'm originally German, but I think I lived in California for too long and got a bit too casual. And started the cool biz already a bit early. What I would like to talk to you about today is some industry-specific stuff. And I know we're in a very difficult situation, but I work in what we call life science and healthcare, which is basically pharma companies, medical technology companies, medical device firms, but also working with hospitals and healthcare providers. And that is a very acyclical, non-cyclical industry because people are still getting sick. People still have chronic diseases. There's 7 million people in Japan who have diabetes right now, and just because of COVID-19, they're not going to stop having diabetes. They still need regular medication. They need regular checkups. Same for hypertension. People are getting cancer, other diseases, so people will need to see a doctor. What I think the goods are, so I work in an industry that is very non-cyclical, so we still have a lot of work going on in consulting, and our clients, pharma companies, medtech companies, are going through a lot of change right now, as are hospitals. The traditional model here in Japan, if you've ever been to a healthcare provider or a hospital, any one of you probably realize that most hospitals, most clinics, most private practice medicine doctors here still run a very paper-based system. So if you go into clinic, you get a new patient card, you have to fill in the same information every time because there's no standard patient health records here. Everybody has to fill in the same information if you transfer information from one institution, one hospital to another. It is actually not done electronically like in most countries like North America, Europe, or even Taiwan, Korea, Singapore these days. For example, if you get an MRI checkup, I just had one a month ago. I was actually asked, could you wait 15 minutes? We need to burn a DVD. And when I heard that, hearing about DVDs, I thought, wow, that's something from like 10, 15 years ago. Why can't you send that electronically? But that's something that's still not possible in Japan. So I think having the current situation where transporting things physically creates a certain a danger or risk for contamination. I think that's something that can be a catalyst for Japan's healthcare workers, healthcare practitioners, hospitals to move more to electronic working or teleworking. The other situation we have in Japan is that we have a continuing shrinking physician population, especially in rural areas. So the METI, the Ministry for Technology, basically has tried to push telemedicine in Japan, telehealth, that patients who live in very rural areas have easy access to a physician and can get consultation done via smartphones or just via telephone. The MHLW, which is the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare, so far has not been very cooperative on that and said, yeah, you know, this is something we need to evaluate. And it's something that's been evaluated now for, I think, a better part of 7 or 8 years. But I think this has been an impetus or a catalyst also to change that. So I think we're going to see Japan moving into that direction, driven by shrinking physician population, but also because of the current COVID crisis, where especially if you have chronic underlying health conditions, you shouldn't visit hospitals or physicians in person. It makes a lot more sense to do it for easy cases if you think you have the cold or some other things that are bothering you, backache, to do a teleconsultation instead of physically going to the physician. So I think that's something that will happen here in Japan, and having the current situation as a catalyst for change, so something that will accelerate that process. Overall, besides the healthcare industry, we see, I see the current change of moving to a teleworking or work from home environment also as something very, very positive. If you look at the way Japanese companies, Shinya alluded to that already, have worked in the past, that Japan is one of the countries with the lowest white labor productivity in the world. So people spend extremely long hours in the office, and the output doesn't really match that. And I've seen clients now where, since they moved to a working from home environment, trying to replicate the exact same setup they have in their offices at home. I was at a client on a teleconference over Zoom as well, where I was told they started out just having people on Zoom basically from 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning continuously during the whole day. Guess what? That actually led to one of our client employees coming down with thrombosis, which is also known as economy class syndrome. If you sit in your average apartment here in Japan and sit in the same position for 8 or 9 hours without moving too much, you can develop blood clots on embolism in your legs that might travel up to your lungs, or even more fatally to your brain. That can have some very serious consequences. So just trying to replicate the physical environment you have in traditional Japanese offices and moving that online to just have everybody on Zoom with a camera on so I can give micromanagement instructions to everybody, I don't think it's going to work. So I see this as a catalyst for change as well. And I see that change slowly, albeit, happening in some of the companies I see here. So, and we're trying as consultants, Shinya is a consultant as well, we used to work together, that this is something that gives us hope that this is finally going to push people to work differently. The future of work in Japan will look differently than it has traditionally been. So I think that's something that comes to a lot of us foreigners a bit easier. I'm originally from Germany. I worked in the UK, worked in France, worked in the US for a very long time, in California. But even 10, 15 years ago, when I worked in the US, we were used to doing telework. We spent a few days at the client side and then worked from home and connected electronically. That's something that existed even 10 years ago. So that was something where people really used to. And I think for people here, it was traditionally always to have everybody in the same room, for a manager or the traditional hierarchy, a manager and executive, giving some very detailed instructions face to face. So I think that's something that will definitely change, and that is, it is changing. We have some very progressive companies that brought the full range here. We have some companies that are really struggle with that, and that might need some outside support. So I see a lot of potential. There's some good that is coming out of this whole crisis as being a catalyst for change in Japan. I wanted to talk a little bit about also that what I discussed with Damon previously is that not every industry is suffering. There's parts of my company where some sectors naturally that have been quite hardly hit, like the automotive industry or some consumer products where people are currently not going out to buy a new car. People are not spending that much on consumer products. But as I said, there's some sectors that are very crisis resistant, like life science. So we're actually seeing an increase for services, especially digital. A lot of pharma company, a lot of medical device firms who relied in Japan, especially extremely heavily on physical sales activities. You have salespeople actually go into hospitals and go into physicians, and that's something that just doesn't work right now. Hospitals have made it illegal for non-essential personnel, basically salespeople, to show up there and trying to push pharma products or trying to push medical devices, medtech, or any other products and services. So you are being forced to move to a digital channel. So we have a lot of work that is involving digital sales, digital marketing, remote working, helping people to transition the new way of work, the future of work we call, and assisting them along the way here. So that's something that is really growing. I currently, what I discussed with Damon is I have a couple positions open right now. We're looking for an associate director, somebody with about 10 years consulting experience, preferably has worked in some kind of life science related field. Could be pharma, could be medical device, it could be medtech, but who has a very strong consulting background, who knows how to manage engagement capture to delivery and client and account management. We're also looking to fill some positions on what we call a senior consultant level. That's people who have normally about 4 or 5 years consulting experience. That can be basically the people who really deliver the project and who work on the ground, work with the client every day, deliver the work, do some work stream management as well, take on partially a manager role as well. So we're looking to fill several positions for that. Ideally, some people are bilingual. I'm lucky that we work with a lot of pharma companies here, medical device companies. Foreigners have a very dominant market share. Life science pharma is one of the few industries in Japan where foreigners have over 50% market share. So English is something that is very necessary because you have a lot of executives who get sent out here as expats who do the traditional 3 to 5 year turn here, who don't learn Japanese, so you need to speak English, but you also need to speak Japanese to deal with line management here. So I just wanted to mention that it's not all gloom and doom. There is opportunity. I see this as a catalyst for change. We are looking for people in certain areas. And thank you very much, Damon, again for this opportunity. And hope we can have something like this again and see how this plays out maybe a month or so from now on. Thank you, Damon.
Thank you so much, Christian, for that. I really think it's good for people to hear of the growth areas, especially now. There isn't enough good news that we're hearing on the news for certain. And thank you for making time to share on the open roles too. I thought that's important because what a lot of people don't understand is there are growth areas right now. And in your unit that you spoke of, this is growth area with life science. And these are great careers in the Big Four in a growth unit. So I think that's important that people have an understanding. There's growth happening out there in some areas. So it's very positive to hear. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. Okay, so do stay tuned. I want to make sure everybody gets to see the URL we're going to bring you to so you can see what other added value there is. There's a lot. Again, thanks to our speakers. Here you can see this is the top of the page. Again, you can go to Catalyst4MBAs and just hit blog and go there. So if you, this is our added value page. This is a place where we can bring you even more information from the fitness, from the free coaching, and our trusted partners online events, helping you to connect, share, grow. So connect with our keynote speakers using the info below. Greg Story was kind enough to share his email address that we could post here so you guys can connect with him for questions you may have or for trainings for your organization or for yourself. I've taken them myself at Dale Carnegie, and I thought they were amazing. The best training courses I've taken. Shinya Yamamoto, CEO of HR Fabula. If you want to hear more about maybe what could happen for the HR in your own company, you can contact right here. Is his webpage in English and in Japanese. And Christian Boettcher, if you have interest in that, some of the opportunities that he shared, you can click right here and get in contact with us. I'll share more insight with you, and we can also get you introduced directly to Christian. If you look down here to the share area, we talked about career opportunities. There's just a few here that we can share. The first one here is Big Four Strategy Consulting. That's what Christian was talking about in his unit at Deloitte. Just to show you, you can simply click on the button and it goes right to the jobs page. And if you want to hear more details about it, you can simply click on the button that says apply for this job. Sorry, it's a little bit slow. It's loading slow because we're on. So you can click on this and get more insight if you're interested in this for yourself or to introduce to someone else. And you can sign in right here. I'm already signed in, but it would say register. If you guys just want to go to our events in the future, get on the priority list, you click this. We'll be happy to talk to you or at least get you on the priority list. Okay, going back to the added value page. You know, we talked about growth and helping people to connect. It's amazing how much you can help someone from making the right connection. If you have a friend, whether you want to introduce them anonymously or get paid Juman yen for each person we successfully place, together we can make that happen. This is an important time for a lot of people that have moved out of their companies for all kinds of different reasons. You can click on a button here and refer someone. We're happy to speak with them and do all we can. Next is a company we're not associated with, but I thought they put together a really nice, robust list of loans, grants, government subsidies, etc., that they can even help you to fill out due to COVID. You can click there and go right to that page. And then for growth. So those of you that know us know that we're a trusted name. It took a long time to build that reputation by delivering with highest integrity for quite a long time. And we want you to benefit from our trusted friends as well. Jason Ball, as many of you know, he'll have a business in Japan group. He has a business in Japan group he's run for years, a trusted friend, and he has put on really great events for a long time. He has one coming up on May 27th. And this is going to be on sales. You'll be able to hear Greg's story again, but it will be on a different topic. They're talking about sales. David Sweet, also an agency owner in Japan and an author, speaking on sales. So two great sales people to get sales information from. For health and wellness, Menya is the best. I've done it with him for corporate, where he came into the office and taught us, but he'll do individual for free for the people that are here today. He'll offer a free session for you. It's health and wellness. It's just movement training. Some of it's physical exercise. It could be about what you're eating as well. It's just all over health and wellness. He's amazing. It's free. It affects everything else you do in life, the type of shape you're in. So I think it's worth it. And then free coaching. I was lucky enough to speak with Clark Luby. He's giving away free coaching sessions for everyone that was here today. And this is inside of the guidelines of the International Coaching Federation. You can click and connect to him right there. So again, feel free to jump on the page, just catalyst4mbas.com, and go to blog. And if you have recommendations for more that we can include here, I'd love to hear them. I do want to fill this out as robustly as we can, and we can share that with people. And it's just things they can get for free during these times. I think that's very important. I want to thank everyone again for joining us here today, most especially our speakers, but thank you for everyone else to join. My name is Damon Mackey from Catalyst, signing off. Let's keep doing all we can to connect, share, grow.